Hello there, friends. My name is Scott Wakefield. I'm lead pastor here at First Christian Church of Greene County, and I am with
Allison.
Barry.
And we are going to have a coffee convo. You gotta say coffee convo with us.
Coffee
convo.
There we go. Yes.
You feel so far away.
It's true. It is a stretch, unless you're 7 feet tall like you. Then it's not that much of a stretch. Thanks for coming, y'all.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, super glad to sit down for the next 4 hours, 45 minutes. Yeah. So we just want to get to know y'all and hear about God's work in your life and let the peeps know who you are. So tell us where you're from, how you got here, and then we'll get into like how you guys met and all that good stuff. So
Okay.
Bales, break it down for us.
Ladies first.
Well,
By the way, I like how Aliceson is A-L-I-C-E.
yes,
S-O-N.
thank you. Thank you.
I have never seen that,
Yes.
and I've never thought about how we
Makes
typically
sense.
spell Allison.
It makes sense.
It does.
It's the old English way to spell it, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know that my parents knew that, but that's the truth.
That's cool.
So I grew up in Kingsport and went to UTC to college, Go Mocs. Went to physical therapy school there.
Okay.
And after I graduated physical therapy school, I moved back to Kingsport, had a great job, and called one of my friends, and he said, I know this guy that you should go out with.
Wow, that's good.
That was
condensed.
that was very condensed.
Wow.
I expected that to go a little longer too.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was born in Kingsport as well, but spent about half my life on our family farm here in Mossheim with my grandparents,
Cool.
and just spent every spare minute I could hanging out with my grandfather, farming, riding horses, all that,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of sort of started growing up. Didn't get there the whole way, but went to East Tennessee State
Mm-hmm.
and was dabbling with music at the time, and more and more and more, and it just kind of snowballed into playing in local bands, regional bands.
Yeah.
Started playing full time. Was playing, touring so much that I didn't have time to go to school, so I just kind of
Just kept it going.
just petered out of school and lived in Nashville until like 92, 93, and just was still touring really heavy, all that, but just Nashville was never felt like home.
Uh-huh.
And my professional life was such that I didn't really have to be there. So I moved back here, back to the farm, and have been here ever since.
So you grew up going to the farm in the summers.
At literally every spare minute, my grandparents would
Huh.
come on the day that school would let out in the summer.
Wow,
They'd be sitting there to pick me up,
that's cool.
and I would go back the day before it started back in the fall.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about growing up on the farm is unlike your typical teenage experience today? This is going to need to be condensed, of course.
Right.
How do you see people today, and how we grow up with 27 different options on the shelf of one type of food, and how things have changed? And that always intrigues me. There's somebody I read every once in a while, Wendell Berry, who
Oh, yeah.
talks about how we don't have like a sense of the land. That's something that, like, I'm just a book nerd sports dude who didn't grow up on the farm at all, and I grew up in suburbia. That whole world is like this foreign land to me.
Mhm.
What was great about growing up on the farm that you enjoyed most?
Well, for me, it was just, I mean, it was very idyllic. It was almost, it was a little bit of that sort of, kind of speaking to what you're talking about, it's almost like that Tom Sawyer kind of,
Yeah.
textbook kind of, I had 63 acres that I could run around on and play Army or play Cowboys and Indians. And, when I did that, I could actually get on a real horse. You know, if
Yeah.
I was pretending I was in the cavalry, I had a real horse.
Yeah.
And just we'd go to horse shows. We'd go up to our little country store there, the Glenwood store, and hang out with all the loafers. And I mean, it was like living in a different time.
Yeah. So you call them loafers?
Loafers, yeah.
Those were the folks who just were there.
The old men that go up there and whittle and tell lies, and that was the thing. We'd go up there every day about 3 o'clock.
Huh.
We'd go up there and you know, they had the old sliding cooler.
Yeah.
You know, slide the top back and get a root beer or something and a pack of peanuts and just sit there and chill out for 30 minutes or an hour, catch up on the gossip and
Yeah,
all that
catch
was
up on
going
the latest. That's cool. Yeah, that's a whole world that for me I read about or saw like on TV. I have been to a couple country stores and had banana pudding at least, so like I'm getting close.
You're there.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah, I'm there. So good stuff. Y'all farm now.
We do.
What kind of animals do you have, and what kind of crops, etc.? I have no clue. I know you have pigs.
Right. Right now we have on farm. We have pigs and chickens,
Laying chickens.
and laying chickens.
Laying chickens as opposed to
Meat
you
birds.
kill them for meat.
Right.
Right.
Chickens.
Right. And we will have
Otherwise called
those.
broilers.
Right.
Broilers.
And we will get broilers in the spring, and they are not winter hardy, so they cannot live when it's cold. So
Really?
right.
I know nothing.
So
clearly.
you know a whole lot. Your job isn't raising chickens.
I know very little about. You could say particular things about chickens and hens, and I'd have to wait. Clarify that for me.
Right.
I have to think about like, okay, a cousin is my brother's.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I still
Well,
have to think
overall,
about
we raise, and we do a lot of stuff seasonally. You know, speaking into that, the whole Wendell Berry philosophy.
it. Yeah.
We raise grass-fed, grass-finished beef. We raise free-range eggs. Actually, Marshall does. Marshall's in charge of the eggs.
That's right. I
We
forgot
raise
that.
pastured pork and pastured chicken.
And that's seasonal.
Yeah,
Ish.
yeah. Chickens, meat chickens, broilers, we generally get as day-old chicks in April, and then we'll process June, July timeframe, and that'll usually be it for the year. Beef, we raise April through November, December. Like right now, we don't have any cattle. All our beef is processed and in the freezer, and we do have the pigs now. And so, yeah, it's kind of a beef in the winter, chicken in the spring and summer.
Okay. Okay. That's probably like farming 101 basic.
No,
knowledge kind of
no,
stuff,
it just
isn't
depends on how you do it and your philosophy. There are tons of different people who do it different ways.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is a little more permaculture, au natural, the way God designed us to do farming.
right.
Thinking.
Right. Yeah. We subscribe to the production idea of regenerative agriculture, which
Right.
when you get right down to it, it's like my grandfather used to do it. You know, we all of our animals, like the cattle, just graze grass.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
The pig.
But a lot of people do other things
yeah,
with their
yeah,
cows.
Yeah. I mean,
They
that's what.
feed them lots of things.
Corn
Right.
fed and stuff like that.
Sure.
Right.
And the pigs are on pasture. They're in the woods right now, but in the spring when the grass is growing, we'll put them out on pasture and they'll graze just like cattle will. But they also need a supplemental feed, so we feed them a non-GMO pig feed, and the same with the meat chickens. But our idea is it's all based on healthy soil, growing good pasture, and then everything else will take care of
The
itself. from
whole system is doing what it should.
there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. A lot of folks, I've noticed, a lot of folks around here are trying to do more of that kind of regular old
It's
old school
starting-
farming.
Yeah, it's
in a sense.
it's starting to get a little more traction. You know, and I say this because I can feel like I can say this because I am one, but farmers are probably the most resistant to change that I know of.
And that's you?
Yeah.
You're very...
I mean, I'm aware of that. And,
Sure.
But I'm fighting that and am trying to overcome that. And I think a lot of people are starting to, that way of looking at things is starting to get some real traction for various reasons. But at the end of the day, it's also so much better for your bottom line, because we haven't, and this is, I won't go too deep on this, but like, for example, we haven't bought or applied chemical fertilizer.
Yeah.
And by chemical fertilizer, I mean like 10-10-10 or triple 19 or, bagged fertilizer on your pasture.
Uh-huh.
I haven't bought any fertilizer it's been at least probably 10 or 12 years.
Wow. And
that's been in the news lately, is the skyrocketing prices of fertilizer and how it's hard to come by, and the price of herbicide and pesticide and all that. And so if you're doing things in a way where you don't need that, there's a lot of input costs that are out the window.
Cool. So it's efficient. So tell us a little bit more about how you guys met.
We met.
Blind date.
Yes, it
Really?
was the first and only.
First and only for both of
blind
us.
date. Yes. Yes.
So like on that first and only, did you have a sense like, this is it?
Oh, she did.
Nice.
Did I say that out loud?
Nice.
Sorry.
Quickly, too.
Yes, very quickly. No, he went to college with a guy that is my brother-in-law.
Okay.
So older than me, so I didn't know them. I never hung out with him. When I graduated college and came back, I called my friend and I said, I don't really know many people here. And so my friend said, oh, you should meet Barry. And so I called my sister and brother-in-law, who were in Princeton, New Jersey at the time, and I said, should I go out with him? And my brother-in-law said, well, I think he might be a loser with the ladies because I've never seen him on a date. But my sister assured me he would be fun for parties. So we went out. Yes, blind date. We went to Mikado's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and she, we're all sitting around the big table, and it was a definite quick insight into her personality. The guys, doing
The Benihana, throwing up things, and
shrimps up in the air and all that.
He was very good.
So there's probably, they seated us with another bunch or two of people, so there's a whole bunch of people around this big flat top. And he gets done, and the only person at the table,
Well,
the rest of us are just...
you were a cheerleader, weren't you?
no, I was a dancer.
Dancer, okay.
Yes, I was a dancer, and I was
Same
on the
world.
dance team in
Okay.
college. But
That would have been my wife, too.
Mm-hmm.
She was
is she a 2 also on the Enneagram? See, we just want to encourage people, and he
I
was
don't
very
know.
good.
My wife likes to encourage people, yes.
See?
I'm a negative, discouraged jerk guy, but she's very much an encourager. She would have been clapping and like,
Right.
and I would have been like trying to figure out things and analyze how often does
Right.
he do this and how much money does he make, and so if they're
Yeah.
multiplying the things. And I did that last time actually. I was at a place like that in Johnson City trying to figure out how much does this place make really. So personality wise, how are you guys? Very similar, very unsimilar, dissimilar, unlike each other, etc.
I don't know if I could definitively say that we're exact opposites, but we're pretty close.
Right. We are.
She's the kind that she can meet a friend of mine that I've known since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And she'll say, that was really interesting about what he was telling me about his kids. And I'll say, he's got kids?
Nice.
She knows, like she will get to know. I could see him on a daily basis for 10 years and never
Never even
know
broach
their
that
name,
kind of thing or something. Yeah.
But she knows everything there is to know about our UPS driver.
Nice.
He is very nice.
He is. I like him, and his name's Michael. I
Yes.
know that now.
Now you do, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I was single, living by myself, I
because
would
she's
never
sitting
know.
there talking about Michael like he's a part of the family.
Right.
You
Right,
should know
right.
who he is, of
Right,
course.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, so if for anyone who does the Enneagram,
Yeah.
who believes in that, I'm a 2 and he's a 5, and so that's pretty opposite.
And I'm an only child. And a musician.
Yes.
So those are bad. That's 3 strikes right there.
You seem okay with that, though.
I am. That's
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of being a 5. I think it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
it just is.
Yeah.
For a long time, I would say, "What's wrong? Are you mad? Are you mad? Are you mad?" Because he's just what I have learned now. He's just Barry.
Yeah.
But to me, there's something wrong because he's not constantly
I'm just sitting
talking,
here.
Not constantly
reaching out.
trying to like personally, inwardly, emotionally relate.
Right.
And that kind of, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a little more strangely spaghetti than waffle with the emotional thing. I'm in some ways I'm very male and waffle and like, but in some ways I'm very emotionally spaghetti like. So
Yeah,
It's the ADD
I
more
get
than
accused of being mad or being in a bad mood.
Not just from me.
It's not just
Right.
her. I'm like, what? I'm just sitting here. What did I do?
People will say,
Yeah.
"What's wrong with Barry?" No, he's just a 5. He's just
now
got to hold
what's
on
a
to
5 typically? I don't remember the
Researcher.
word researcher.
Just the facts.
Okay.
You wake up with a
I
certain
don't know
amount of
them.
energy.
I don't know it as well as she does, but
And you don't want to give away too much energy. You've got enough energy. Like, I think I asked him one time something about things that never occur to me, like how much is that going to take out of me? How much is blank
Yeah,
going to take out?
you're not calculating that stuff. You're just going.
Right, I'm going because
Yes.
it's going to be
Totally understand.
who might
Yes.
I meet?
Right.
Who might I
and I'll
have?
start thinking about, is it going to require me planning a nap between now and when I do it?
Hey, no, that's wisdom, as it turns out, at a certain age. I
Right.
have that on my calendar every day. Steal a 30-minute nap within this 2-hour time window.
That's excellent.
And I cannot believe I'm going to say this out loud to people. I have a weird fascination with keeping everything in my backpack. Like, I can go anywhere and do anything that I need. It's sort of like my ministry bug-out bag. I can go anywhere and go. It's not for, like, survival. It's just for, like, ministry. So I have a sleep mask that I carry around with me for my 30-minute nap in the middle of the day.
That's awesome.
No, it's dorky. But,
No, it's
but thanks for
not.
saying that.
Listen, those little masks are great. I have one of those.
Yeah,
They're
true
awesome.
story. Yeah. It's a little weird. So we have a number of questions,
Okay.
and we have some speed round stuff that we want to ask you all.
Okay.
What's a weird gift you've received?
You're gonna have it in
It's not really that weird to me, but I'd say people could think it's weird. A guy made me a turkey call in the shape of an upright bass.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Probably one of the only ones on the planet,
probably.
if
Probably.
not the.
Yeah.
A turkey call in the shape of an upright bass.
Mm-hmm.
Does it work well?
It works. Yeah. I mean, it's usable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a box call, which you scrape.
So it's not exactly going to go out with you.
No,
but
it's
yeah,
it's
okay.
not practical. You'd bust it pretty easy, but yeah, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do.
That's a weird gift.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool gift, though.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughtful.
And it took a lot of time for him to make.
Oh, I'm sure.
See,
yeah.
that's very too of me
For
to
sure.
think about.
Well, and you love hunting,
Yes.
Yes.
so it puts together those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Allison? Weird gift.
I cannot think, and I'm not trying to get out of it. I really can't think of any odd gift. I either think that people know me so well that they give me really great gifts, or maybe it's just,
Are you a
Can I
gift
quote
giver?
you on that?
I don't know. Am I a good gift giver?
Yes.
You seem like you would be the kind who hones in on someone's.
I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so.
My wife's that way. Yeah. Traditional curly or waffle fries.
Pals.
Traditional. I have to say, I I don't see what all the fuss is about waffle fries.
Yeah, and
Oh man, I like them.
Marshall he likes those. They're his favorite too. But for me,
Pals.
just Pals.
Yeah.
I mean, like, some people go crazy about McDonald's. I haven't had McDonald's.
McDonald's is good.
I haven't had McDonald's.
They did
in
sort of set the standard for
over a decade.
what a fast food crunchy fry should be.
That's true.
In a sense. Yeah,
What do you think they dust those fries with?
I don't know.
Maybe crack.
Beef dust.
It's
Beef dust.
No,
is beef dust a thing?
Well, I think didn't they come out and said that they like part of
Zatarans. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they're like soaked in beef fat basically.
Oh, I believe that. I'm a little sad, by the way, that Wendy's changed their fries.
Do you not like them better?
No.
Oh.
I never thought Wendy's had the fry down.
No, I don't like them either.
Yeah.
But the new ones aren't any better, particularly.
Oh. Well, Pals. I mean, we are so blessed to live in an area with Pals. I feel sorry for people.
I have never been to Pal's once. No. Let me finish. And had any part of the order wrong. Not once. Every single
I
time.
thought you meant you had never been to Pals.
I've been to
okay.
Pals. I've been to Pals. Though sadly, I think it literally took me 10 years of living here before I went to Pals. So we've been here almost 20 years, and the first 10 years, not even once.
I'm so sorry.
I kept hearing people talk about it like it's some.
Yeah.
I will say this. For the right thing, Little Top is so much better.
I've never been to Little Top ever.
Oh, it's very good.
Go to Little Top and get a cheese chipper.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I've heard it's quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it blows Pals away.
I used to work downtown Kingsport, really close to was that the original one on Revere Street? Or is that and the one
It was one of the
yeah,
first two.
Original
Yeah.
Pals? Or, Oh, yeah.
And it was, are you familiar with Seinfeld?
Yeah, ish.
Okay, it was the Soup Nazi. Like, you went up, you ordered, you stepped, you step,
And you don't tell them, they
Right.
tell you.
Don't
sort of.
screw up.
And,
Yeah.
and you knew your order. And so now that Pals they got it going on.
They're efficient.
Yeah, they're efficient.
I've never been to one that's not.
I know.
A friend of mine is an engineer at Eastman, and they sent them through the school.
The managerial, yeah.
And he's told us quite a bit about it, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've heard a few folks actually who have been through it speak about how it revolutionized how they think about their own training and leadership of people within their organization. Yeah.
Yep.
We should send all of our staff to it. So you have a cookbook
Yes.
in hand.
Yes.
Show us your cookbook.
Okay.
It's lovely. Now, I assume this took some serious work to put together.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
It did. I will brag on her about that. We decided that. Well, I'll let you tell the story, but yeah, I mean, about a year, right, of you
I bet.
sitting and typing and
Yeah.
editing and just to gather the pictures and the recipes and the copy and the comments and all that before we ever took it to have it actually
Compiled and
Right.
put together in bookie kind of form. Yeah.
Mhm.
I bet. So what inspired / possessed you to put that much work into something like this? It's obviously something you want to do for a long time, and
Well, it's not something that I ever thought of. I mean, not too long ago, I was a full-time physical therapist. And
not too long ago, meaning
Right. Well, once Marshall was
Oh,
in probably second grade, that's the last time that I really worked.
And he's 14 now.
in the clinic.
So it's been a minute.
yeah.
Well, it was a big part of my life. I love my job as a physical therapist. It was super fun.
Yeah.
And then I ruined that.
And so then once we started the farm and then once we got the website going, I
Yeah.
would put some recipes on the blog, and they got to be somewhat popular, and people
they got to be very popular.
saying, "You should
Hey,
write
you
a
should,
book.
yeah.
You should write." And I was no.
So you didn't really want to
And-
at first,
No.
really?
And
No, it was by popular demand.
and then, 2020 hit, and so I started saying, okay, well, I'll just write a few. And then if nothing happens, Marshall has some recipes to take with him when he goes to college, and, so he's not living at Taco Bell all the time. And so that grew and grew, and we just kept one more step, one more step, one more step. And then Barry said, well, who are we going to get to write a blurb about this thing? And so he said, let's get Dolly. Let's ask Dolly. And so she wanted,
Let's try.
Let's go for it.
she wanted to see it.
Oh.
She didn't want to see it on the computer. She wanted to see it, turn the pages. So we had a copy printed, sent it to her, and she said, well, I think this is good. And so I said, well, I guess here we go. So here we are.
Yeah, when you know, if you get that far, you can't. There's no turning back.
You cannot say no to Dolly.
So really, Dolly forced you
Yes, she did.
to turn it into.
That's right.
And wrote a really nice little forward.
Yeah,
and then
I've read
when
it.
you,
It's cool.
When
It's
you
lovely.
buy the book, you get her autograph. So
Really?
yeah, that's worth it.
Well, it's
yeah,
on
Dolly.
It's on my mental list to get to.
Yeah, it's. I mean, listen, you can't go wrong with Dolly. Right there it is.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So we do have questions.
Okay.
Like, well, we just answered it. What inspired you to write a cookbook of sorts? We answered that, yes. Are all of the recipes original from family members? Where'd you get them from? Did you make them up yourself?
Totally plagiarized them, everyone. No,
Well, there's a
I
sense
mean,
in which,
well, food is food.
Yeah.
And I write about that in the book, and I say that a lot. There's nothing new about food. I mean, if you're fixing whole ingredients and you're doing it well, there's not a lot of new stuff. I'm not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is to encourage people to feed the people they love,
yeah,
bring people together, serve them through food.
Yeah.
And if you do that, that creates connection.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and that creates this sense of community, of family, of bonding. It improves relationships. Like I could go on and on about how much food can heal us physically and emotionally, and you know, even financially.
well,
with
and it's like you're talking about the
relationships
farming.
and-
It's regenerative when you do this stuff. And one of the things I talk about with my childhood is I feel, I mean, even though I'm only almost 49 now, I guess 49. I have to think about it occasionally. We had breakfast and dinner every single day. Even in my own generation, that was not normal,
Yeah.
right? But that was part of my formation. It was regenerative, and doing it, like you're saying, it is where people connection and community stays together, and that's just not normal
Right.
nowadays.
And I do think that we have lost that in a bit. We've lost that a bit.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage people and inspire them to come back and remember it. And everybody's had apple pie, right? But maybe nobody's taught you how to make apple pie. And so I wrote how I make my apple pie. Is that the only apple pie in the world? No. Is it the
Right,
best
sure.
apple pie? I think it's pretty
Yes.
good.
Well, one of the things that I think she does really well is that was kind of an offshoot of this time period that we're living in and have just come through is we had, particularly in 21, we had a lot of new farm customers. And so many people would reach out to us and have absolutely zero idea on what to do with or how to cook a whole chicken.
I'm sure that's true.
So, you know, there's a lot of recipes in there, like she said, that are not there. Nothing in there is something right out of culinary school in Paris. It's all good, healthy, home cooking, whole ingredients like
Yeah.
that. Like here's, you know, she'll take like, okay, here's a whole chicken, and here's what you can do with it. Here's how you cook it. Do it this way, and you'll get this meal, this meal, this meal. You can make this, you know, helping people to really, honestly, it sounds like a kind of a bad advertising slogan, but take back their kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, rather than be used to, you know, boneless, skinless breasts or chicken tenders or you know, the subscription box that comes in the mail and it's got just enough that you need for this one particular meal. And it's a lot of it is really sort of reintroducing people on how to cook and how to prepare real ingredients.
So it's not just recipes. It's a way to think about the whole thing.
Right.
And one thing I've noticed, I've only skimmed through some of it, but I paged through enough to go. There's a lot of words and pictures, not just recipes, about the whole experience that give you sort of this vision for what you're talking about, and not just like okay, put this in, and boom, you're done.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Thanks.
It's a rediscovery. It's a rediscovery of the old ways in some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
What kind of feedback and folks have you heard from about the cookbook? And you've been on a little bit of a tour of the cookbook tour.
Well, thankfully, everybody's been kind.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of people make things. So I had a friend the other day, and she had never, and she said, I will never do a whole chicken, ever.
Why? Just because it's...
Well,
A lot of
it's
people
just so
don't even
much.
want to touch it. They're like,
Right.
I'm not.
it's
don't wanna
gross
touch
and
it.
it's got
touching it.
little...
And she did it because that's all she had, and she had to do it. So she did it, and she called me up and she said, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe what a difference it was and how easy it was. And it did take the same amount of time that it does just to do a chicken breast. And I have all of this left over, and I can do all these things with it. And so that's what we're hearing a lot of, or I am, is,
you're
oh
not,
my
I know
gosh.
you're not going to brag on
yeah.
yourself, so I'm going to. For anybody that's familiar with Garden and Gun magazine, made the list of favorite cookbooks of 2021.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
You've made my favorite cookbook list.
Thanks.
Yeah,
There's
you're-
two right there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, what do you love most about Scott Wakefield's preaching? That's the next question.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. And on a scale of consistently incredible from week to week to far superior to all others who preach at First Christian Church, how would you rate Scott's preaching?
5 stars.
Yeah. Far superior.
Right?
Right. 6 stars.
Thank you
Yeah.
for
Yes.
indulging
Yes.
the person who asked that question. So you
so
guys,
smart. Such a good question.
you have lots of pigs right now. Favorite and least favorite thing about working with pigs?
I love pigs. They're my favorite animal to raise.
I love pigs.
Because
They're
very smart.
They're lovely.
I don't know
Great
how they
personalities.
measure this, but the understood rating is that they are 4th smartest, way above dogs.
of animals.
Of animals, yeah.
Including
4th smartest.
4th smartest.
That's
Yep.
amazingly specific.
Yeah.
It goes like humans, I think
Oh,
gorillas,
that's good. I'm glad we're
and then
still top.
dolphins, and then pigs. I say.
Wow.
Imagine if pigs could find, what is it dolphins do? Find bombs or sniff out old torpedoes or something?
Oh, I bet they could.
But pigs are great. Pigs are really smart. They're really fun. When you raise them, people talk about, this place looks like a pigsty. When you raise pigs out on pasture and you rotate them quick enough to where they don't have time to completely destroy an area before you move them on,
Right.
they're able to be pigs, and they have great personalities. Like I go down all the time and just like sit down on the ground, and they come up and they're
Have a coffee convo with the pigs.
Right.
well, pretty
Exactly.
much, yeah,
Really?
yeah. They'll they'll rub on you and they'll come up and do this, and they're great.
Yeah, and on occasion when they do get out, because we have them with a little wire that has a little bit of electricity
Well, and you
on
said
it.
they're in the forest now, and then you bring them into the pasture later.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so if they get out, on occasion they've gotten out, Barry's gone, and when I go down there, they come right to me. They are very sorry that they've gotten out. They're like repentant teenagers.
Seriously?
And then they just go right back in, and they're very nice for
No, I meant seriously. Your teenager's repentant. That's
Yeah.
amazing. How did you swing that? That's wow. You gotta
Yeah.
Electric wire.
write a book about that.
Just kidding.
Ah,
Just kidding.
Just kidding, Marshall.
don't
No,
know
Marshall's a
what-
good kid though.
We're very blessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
He has a good youth program.
a lot of that is obviously his personality, but also too, a lot of that is growing up on the farm, I believe, and that's a large part of what got us back into this and started down this road. Is I wanted him to have a taste of what I had growing up,
Yeah.
and I wanted him to know where his food comes from.
That's right.
I wanted him to have chores to do. I wanted him to develop a work ethic,
Yeah.
and
For sure.
all the good positive things that can come from that, and I think
Oh,
So
those
far.
are
Right.
great reasons. I mean, if those alone were the reasons to farm, totally worth it.
Well, and that goes back to Wendell Berry. I've heard him in interviews say that's part of what we've lost as a society
Yeah.
is kids don't have responsibilities. They don't know where they don't have people depending on them. And
That's right.
so
Their sense of responsibility isn't tied to that stuff because people aren't depending upon them to do things to produce. Yeah, we've taken them out of that in lots of
Right.
ways in our modern society.
right. And it really does help. It's really helped him, I think, become the boy that he is, the man that he's becoming, to have 300, 400 animals depending on him every day. And then also, he is independent, and he takes the tractor down, he moves the egg mobile, he feeds the dog, he feeds the chickens, gathers the eggs, comes up, cleans the eggs, packs the eggs, and then of course he's 14, so I have to deliver them. But I mean, then he talks to the customers, communicates with them.
That's
It's good for him.
well, no, it's profound. It's awesome. Meaning, I mean, you know this, and you've been saying this, but most kids today, they don't have animals' lives depending on their carrying forth their responsibilities well, right? And the sense of God's creation, and He made this, and we are a piece of that larger thing going on. I've been struck, and Wendell Berry was a part of this years ago for me. Been struck by how our modern materialistic control of everything around us, and techno wizardry, which is amazing. I love the fact that I can look up definitions of things whenever I need it, but it takes us out of the larger created world, and you look at that and you go, something larger made this, and that's really cool how Marshall's learned that, as you've been saying. Yeah, good stuff. So we only have a few more minutes, and I want to ask a few of the questions that we typically sort of do at the end. What are you guys most excited about and encouraged about, and what's God teaching you lately? Some version of those questions.
You want to go first? Or you want me to? I think for me, one of the things that God is reminding me is that I have it. It's my screenshot right now on my phone. It's so funny because I was going to say, it's very simple yet profound, but I mean, a lot of times that's what they are, right?
Yeah.
Is that every person that I have interaction with matters to Jesus a whole lot. And I need to approach people in a more graceful and loving way, and I need to walk in love and live in grace more for people. And I was talking with a friend the other day, and this year I'm reading through each month I'm reading through the book of Proverbs, and I'm reading through the Gospels every month. And I was reading in Matthew 11 the other day, and Jesus was saying, learn from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you know, it's easy, and it's we try to make everything so hard. And he's
Yes,
Jesus.
I do. Yes, I do try to
And-
make everything.
I'm sitting right here.
I know.
And he's
Hello.
Jesus, and
Right.
and Jesus was saying it doesn't have to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
It can be light. It doesn't have to be hard. You can have grace for people, and you can love them well. And you know, what does that look like? And I don't know, you know Bob Goff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I was just reading, I'm doing his 365-day devotional with Marshall, and today he was talking about that he used to get these pinatas for his kids, and they beat them, you know, and he was saying, like, we need to, just like the candy pours out of the pinata, we need to let love pour out of us, like love and encouragement and joy.
Yeah.
And are we doing that, or are we making it so hard?
And that is others experiencing Jesus. He's a yoke, the light yoke, when we do that with them, for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
just show them who he is. Just be an example of Jesus to them, and show them that it's not all about these rules. I mean, you know, you say it, we say it, everybody. It's not all these rules. It's not this set. It's a relationship with him, and a relationship with the people around you, and yeah. So that's what he's showing me lately.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you excited about, encouraged about? What's God teaching you?
I am. He is definitely with these last couple of years that we've all lived through. You know, he's teaching a lot of us a lot of things. For me, particularly, you know, I'm an only child, glass is half empty, head of the household mentality. You know, like I gotta take care of everything. I gotta.
You're a
You
man.
know, keep the wolves at bay. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
The sometimes literal wolves away.
Well, coyotes.
Yeah.
You know, the whole pressure. It's on my shoulders. That whole thing.
Yes,
and then on top of that,
We are seeing some contrast here, aren't we?
yes.
It's light. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's
Light and it's
fun.
fun. And- yes.
Wolves.
So on top of that,
Yeah.
coming into COVID pandemic and all that, it wasn't completely out of the blue. This farming thing has it's been on the horizon for a long time, and we've been growing it, and it's always been somewhere down the road the idea that would be my exit strategy from touring,
Gotcha.
or at least a lot of touring, to where I can be more choosy. And you know, I don't know that I'll ever quit playing music, but traveling gets old. Anyway, all that to say, I didn't realize it was going to happen so quickly. You know, COVID hit and the music business shut completely down to zero.
Yeah.
So add that on top of all my other normal insecurities and fears and worries and all that. So I'm more than I ever have, having to face and deal with that it's not up to me, and that it's up to him. And he's, you know, I just want to kick my own hind end sometimes and say, you know what? You're 52 years old, and you have yet to miss a meal. You've yet to ever have the power company come and shut your power off.
What do you know? He takes care of the sparrows.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there again, on paper,
Sure.
duh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then when the rubber meets the road, people like me always have oh yeah, but this is different.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I'm really in the down in the furrow of learning that lesson, you know, or coming to grips with it, and actually resting in it, and actually getting up every day going, I have no idea what's going to happen today, but
But it's going to be okay.
right.
Yeah.
changing it from
it
yes.
doesn't all depend on whether or not you're, whatever that conception of the thing that you have to do that
Right.
is depending upon
Right.
your perfection. Or however you might verbalize it. That's how I verbalize
Sure.
it, as
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
1 on the Enneagram. Yeah. What were we going to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, how can you change your yes but? Yes, but to
Right.
yes and.
Yeah.
Yes and.
Yes. Yes, and.
Contrast.
Well, thank you for joining us. Yes, and yes, but.
You asked if we were. What did you ask? If we were similar or?
How are you similar and dissimilar? We have finally
You've
come
answered
full
that
circle and
question.
answered that question. Yes. Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was
Thanks for joining us, y'all.
fun.
Join us next time.